Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Oklahoma. Continuing from where we left off in Northwest Arkansas, video linked in the description, of course. The first city in this state we will explore is Tulsa, second largest city in the state. I visited here back in July of 2023, and on today's video I'm going to give my thoughts on the city and its transportation infrastructure. But let's get some core stats out of the way first. In 2020, the population was about 413,000 for the city proper. But the more important population, the metro area, was 1.015 million. Other core cities in the metro include Broken Arrow with 113,000 and Owasso with 38,000 people. Now, one thing I want you to pay attention to in Tulsa is the population growth over the past 30 years. We will be using this information later. So I entered the city, of course, coming off of Interstate 44, the Will Rogers Turnpike. Once you get closer to the city, the tolls stop and I-44 is a free ride. For this one, I stayed at a Quality Inn on the east side of town off Interstate 44. It was just your standard hotel, no major frills. A pretty decent area and fast Wi-Fi to get some work done. It was in one of those spots where a lot of other hotel properties are concentrated. And the first thing I want to point out is that Tulsa gets bonus points for having the best gas station, Quick Trip, in the area, as well as my favorite option for faster type food, which is kava. Now, I'm not sponsored by either one of these places, but I have to give credit where it's due. First, let's get into the Roadway Network in Tulsa. Tulsa is well served by freeways. US 75 is a full interstate quality freeway through the area and functions as its main north-south roadway. This road goes south to Dallas and was actually supposed to be a continuation of Interstate 45 from there up to Tulsa. Interstate 44 actually bypasses the city to the south, while its auxiliary route of Interstate 244 takes an east-west path towards downtown before turning southwest to reconnect with the parent I-44. I-44 can take you to Oklahoma City to the west and Joplin, Missouri to the east. It has an outer toll bypass to the south known as the Creek Parkway. Then there's the Mingo Valley Expressway, the Gilcrease Expressway, and the Tisdale Parkway. US 412 is signed along the Sand Springs Expressway west of downtown, which is also slated to become an interstate highway in the future. And in the downtown area, the city has a full loop of freeways surrounding it, partially designated as the unsigned Interstate 444. Honestly, Tulsa has a really dense highway network. There are metros more than double its size who don't have this many highways. So how does this heavy density of roadways impact the area? Well, on the positive side, Tulsa has some of the smoothest flowing traffic of any metro over 1 million people that you will find in the country. While I was here, I was able to travel around comfortably at any time throughout the day. Whether it was 7 a.m., 5 p.m., it didn't really make a difference. Congestion is rare. And while this is somewhat attributed to the sheer volume of highways, just as important is probably the rate of population growth in relation to the roadway network. You see, Tulsa's metro is growing at a much more manageable rate than many of the more popular places people are flocking to and complain about traffic. With the growth rate under 10% and never adding even 100,000 people between census periods, it's simply much easier to design and build transportation infrastructure before things can get overwhelming. And I have to say that the state is doing a pretty good job of keeping up with the growth. Now let's take a look at the downtown area. So this here is First Street. One way, 3 lanes across, which is typical of many streets in downtown Tulsa. Tulsa's downtown area is completely contained within its freeway loops. It has a classic grid pattern, and the streets south of here increase in number as you go south. Like most U.S. cities, the downtown area is completely walkable with sidewalks, crosswalks, and parcels with little to no setback distance. This was a Monday, July 3rd around 11 a.m., so it was pretty quiet. Some businesses possibly were observing the Independence Day holiday on this day. Up here is the BOK Center, where Tulsa's professional hockey and soccer teams play. It also hosts concerts and other major events for the city. And I have to say, the downtown looks very clean and well taken care of. Streets and crosswalks are clearly marked. A modern structure here. Now, I didn't have time to actually stop and get into any of these places in the downtown, as I had to get to OKC, but this part of the area looked the newest, if you will. Definitely some recent construction. Then here we have the main street through downtown. It's a 2-lane thoroughfare and had a bit more foot traffic than the rest of downtown. South of 5th Street, a lot more of the parcels are dedicated to parking, as you can see here on the satellite imagery. And somehow a big box Home Depot managed to secure a spot inside the downtown area. Now this is Elgin Avenue, and the One Oklahoma field can be seen to the right where the city's minor league team plays. And before we leave downtown, I do want to mention that this is a part of the Greenwood neighborhood. Decided one of the darkest days in not only Tulsa, but American history overall, where a white mob destroyed the prominent black neighborhood located here at the time. Over 5,000 homes and businesses were destroyed, along with estimates of as many as 300 people dead, to mark one of the deadliest racial massacres in U.S. history. However, within 10 years, the majority of the area was rebuilt, despite punitive zoning laws by the city enacted to prevent it. But once segregation ended in the 1960s, many black Tulsa residents began to spread to other parts of the city, so the Black Wall Street was never quite the same. Recently, there was an initiative proposing that the city compensate the still living victims of the massacre for the damages, and of course that was denied as well. Now further ahead, we pass under Interstate 244, which unsurprisingly was constructed through the middle of the Greenwood neighborhood. But continuing north, we pass by Oklahoma State University at Tulsa, and we'll check out some of the residential areas north of downtown. And the overall verdict on downtown? Well, for a smaller metro, it looks great. It looks very healthy, clean, walkable, and most importantly, safe. Very few abandoned buildings in downtown Tulsa. Downtown Tulsa is a place that you'd want to visit, that residents can be proud of. And even though the entire downtown is walkable, I did notice the absence of a key ingredient to walkability as far as living goes, which was a grocery store. I didn't see any in nor near the downtown. So be aware of this if you're thinking of moving downtown for walkability. You will still need a car. The closest walkable areas with groceries and other amenities nearby appears to be further south along Peoria Street, where you can find a Trader Joe's, neighborhood Walmart, and a Whole Foods. North of downtown, I drove through what appears to be a lower income working class area. Modest single family home lots. And if you doubted that Oklahoma is a southern state, then driving through here will remove said doubt, as it looks like many residential neighborhoods that can be found all over the South. East of MLK, the homes start to look a little nicer, the lawns a little neater. So you can tell that there's an income difference here compared with that previous neighborhood. And the last place I checked out was a neighborhood directly east of downtown called the Pearl. The grid pattern from downtown continues into this neighborhood despite the existence of Interstate 444. This area reminds me of those transitioning type neighborhoods that you'll find in many other cities across the country. Lots of local coffee shops, breweries, bars, and such, but some growing pains as new residents clash with old residents and homeless in the area as it gentrifies. There's even a large park for residents to enjoy. And there were quite a few interesting characters walking the streets, if you will. This part of town reminds me of neighborhoods like Noda in Charlotte, North Carolina, or Little Five Points in Atlanta, but not quite as developed just yet. It still appears to have its charm, for now. So overall thoughts on Tulsa? As far as growth, the city is doing it right. Driving around was easy, low stress. 7 a.m., 5 p.m., didn't matter. Tulsa was a breeze. Outside of maybe the Triad area of North Carolina, Tulsa probably has some of the best traffic flow of any growing metro in the country. So it begs the question, is Tulsa's more comfortable growth rate at around 10% the range that makes it easier to keep traffic under control? Or is Oklahoma DOT doing just that good of a job? Or is it a combination of both? Like many southern metros, it has no geographic barriers to prevent development and sprawl, but has not been overwhelmed by traffic. The only minor thing I question is why no company has brought a grocery store near the downtown area as of yet. It would make it a lot more livable. But either way, that's it for Oklahoma's second largest city, and our next stop is further down I-44 to Big Brother, Oklahoma City. And on the way there, I got a real taste of why it's called Tornado Alley. A thunderstorm so bad that you couldn't even see at times, and cars were pulling off to the side of the road. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.